we've probably trained over 6,500, almost 7,000 teachers.
Mm-hmm.
And our job, our idea is to see if we can't get teachers to come up with kind of what the book calls, a trauma book, the Helping Traumatized Children. It's called the four, that we look for the four domains of kids, and to try to understand relationships and try to understand academic performance. Try to understand the child's health and well-being, and so we're looking at the domains and giving teachers kind of a common language to talk about kids. And we're also trying to train not just teachers, but librarians, cafeteria workers, because there are people in schools, when you think about kids at schools, that it's funny, they may not have a relationship with a teacher, but boy, that cafeteria lady's awfully nice to them, and they seem to have a nice repertoire back and forth over the course of the day. And for some kids, that's really, really important.
Yeah.
So it's like subtraction by being separated from those people, like the lunch ladies, the cafeteria workers, that you really take for granted and you don't really measure how much they impact you every day. And then there's subtraction by addition, by if you come from an abusive household, you're stuck there.
Yeah, really good point, Tom, especially during this age of COVID and hybrid learning and kids being at home. And yes, what Ed Jacobs was talking about is how some kids remain resilient to their adverse childhood experience. And you know how it is? Because there's someone in their life who sees them as valuable. There's always one person in all the resilience literature. And remember, resilience is the idea that you can be faced with a terrible, terrible event in your home or social domain that can affect the way you view yourself in the IC domain, which is going to affect your biological domain of your brain and body and how you feel, whether you're depressed, anxious, angry. But then there's a person who just chats with you, who just reminds you that you are valuable through that IC domain. How do I see myself? How do I think other people see me? And when that happens, it is amazing how we as humans respond. I mean, you all know that, what it's like when somebody just says, yeah, you're amazing, or let's chat, or I've got time for you, right? So that's part of what we're hoping can still happen, even though we're in the midst of this COVID crisis. But how do we do that? How do we get those kids in front of that charismatic adult that can help them? That's really one of the challenges. But this is part of the risk we have. You're right, Tom. If you're stuck at home in an environment that is so stressed out, and it's not just whether it's abusive or not, but parents right now, they have a lot of things on their mind. This morning, I don't know, Mark, are your kids back at school yet? Anybody at school?
The hybrid learning has begun, so none of them have entered the school. Tomorrow begins the new frontier for them in school. But yeah, it's definitely an interesting time.
Yeah. This morning at Riverside Community Care, we're having our leadership meeting, which is all Zoom. And at least 3 or 4 of our regular attendees had to keep going out because they were having technical difficulties getting their kids in school in terms of the virtual learning and the software and the connection isn't good, and something's going on with how we're getting in touch with the teachers. Man, huge challenges for everybody out there right now,
Oh yeah, no doubt.
And of course, not every kid or family that is challenged is going to wind up using drugs and alcohol. I mean, of course not. But there are some who are just at higher risk for it because there may be other adverse experiences already at play. And they go to school in a way as a safety net, as a relief. we need to be mindful of this because, you know, if that's taken away, and it is going to be, we need to watch. These kids may be at even higher risk because there isn't that moment with that lunch lady just spending time and maybe having a chat, you know? So we really need to be mindful of that.
Stretch the canvas, brush with